going on, my friends? SeanPierceJohnson here. Welcome to this week's episode of Stompbox Saturday, where today we are battling another three-headed dog. Yes, it's another Cerberus pedal, but this time it is the NUX Cerberus integrated pedal board. Now, what exactly is an integrated pedal board? Because if you're seeing the shots right now, you're just like, well, that's another multi-effect or like a FlyRig kind of thing. But in my opinion, what the Cerberus has packed into its enclosure is so much more than just a multi-effect or like a FlyRig. Yes, it is those things, but it can do so much more. So there's a lot to unpack, so let's go ahead and put that up on the screen and talk about what exactly those features are. Now, first and foremost, and I might have to move over a little bit to fit the entire thing in camera. I don't know, that's future me's problem. We see a very nice layout, and this is a really sturdy enclosure. Very nice metal enclosure with a cool sort of textured finish. And we have 4 different sections of the pedal board as we see it just on face value. A drive circuit based loosely on the JHS Morning Glory, a distortion circuit based sorta on the JHS Angry Charlie. We have a modulation section, which is made up of a chorus side and a modulation side. Then we have our delay section, which is actually just overall our time-based effects. On one side of it, we have delays, and on the right side, we have reverbs. All of them very similar to the reverbs and delays that are available to us in the Atlantic pedal, which we looked at quite a ways back, but they are still the same great effects that we saw in that pedal. So essentially, you can turn on and off. Well, hold on, because I'm in preset mode. Yes, because we got preset mode. If I go back, you can turn on all manner of combinations however you see fit with the different foot switches. However, we have this nifty little control foot switch right here that you can see the on-off. Well, basically, this button allows you to select 4 different functions that this control foot switch can actually control. You have a reverb bypass, which essentially puts the reverb from the delay section on the control foot switch. You have a mod effects, which lets you bypass the modulation effects on the mod section. So essentially, the mod foot switch will turn on and off the chorus, and the control foot switch turns on and off the modulation. Then you have the drive distortion bypass, which if you have both turned on at the same time for some gain stacking carnage, you can go ahead, press the single foot switch, and all of it goes away, or turn it back on. Then the final one is there is a built-in 20 dB boost, which the control of which is right back here on the back of the pedal where all the inputs and output jacks are, and it's a tiny little knob that you can get up to 20 dB of clean gain boost out of it. Now, that would be enough, but there's more. Tap tempo for our delays. Awesome. The delays can run in parallel or series with delay going into reverb or reverb going into delay. On the modulation section, we have 3 different choruses, everything from a Boss CE style to like an 80s rack mount chorus kind of deal. We have tremolo, phaser, and univibe. We can stack and choose how the 2 drive sections stack. Now, these are analog drive circuits, so we can go ahead and have the green light is our drive. We can have the red light, which is our distortion, the red going into the green, so distortion going into drive. We can have them running in parallel, so we can, blend the 2 sounds together, or we can have the drive, the green, going in to the distortion, the red. Or if we don't have them routed in any way, you basically are able to click between the 2 sounds and they turn each other on and off. Wow, we're getting into a lot of the weeds here, but hey, that's just how much stuff is available. Now we see these other buttons up here. Kill dry, which will basically kill your dry signal if you are putting the modulation and delay section into an effects loop, a parallel effects loop, I believe is what that would be, that you can blend the dry signal into the wet effect. And then the cab button, because you can hook this up via USB to your computer And with the Cerberus software, load different IR files into a built-in cabinet simulator. And we will check that out in just a little bit. I have something loaded up there that I particularly enjoy. Now, as if that weren't enough, we can hook an expression pedal to it. And I have my Mission EP25K on the floor, so we can do that. You can route the drives, which have their own sets of ins and outs, into the front end of your amplifier. You can route the modulation and the delay section into your effects loop because they have their own inputs and outputs. There's MIDI on this. You can save presets. You can do just about anything, really. So, how exactly are we going to unpack all this? I think the best way is just to show you a few common uses and the ways that I have come to use the Cerberus in my musical life. Starting with using this as just a really cool multi-effect FlyRig platform that you can use if you, well, have to do a fly gig. We're going to go into the orange Pedal Baby 100 for that, so let's go for it. I'll show you guys how it's done. The Cerberus is going to serve you very well as a last-minute go-to FlyRig multi-effects style pedal board. And this is essentially how I would set it up. I've got the Pedal Baby running right now, and I'm thinking to myself, what else would I need to pack besides the guitar, the Pedal Baby, and the Cerberus? Not much. Well, what about a tuner, you might say? There's already a tuner built in. Cool, I'm in tune. So, let's set something up. I like the idea of using them as ways to get varying different tones because the Pedal Baby by itself sounds pretty good, but it may lack a little bit of character. So I'm gonna go to the drive, and I'm gonna turn down the drive, turn up the tone all the way, and leave the level right about here. One of the cool things I will mention is the little LED screen right here does display a numeric value. So if you really want to fine tune how much of things you're getting, you can really do it. Not bad. Kind of gives us a little bit of a different clean character with a little bit of grit on it. Now when it comes to distortion, I need rockin' distortion, and that's exactly what this distortion can do. Back off the gain, make it a little brighter so it's a little bit more percussive. I think that's gonna work. And because we're not worrying about any stacking, we can just go between the two different sounds and switch on the fly. Now, when it comes to modulation, I love chorus, but when I turn on this effect, it puts on both the chorus and the phaser that I have set already. And although that's a cool sound, that's not really what I want. How can I change that up and make it do what I want to do? Go to the control button. Just scroll down to the mod effects, then the control foot switch turns on and off the modulation. Maybe for this gig, I need a tremolo. So let's dial in ourselves a little tremolo. Which has kind of a hard, choppy tremolo sound to it, so going to the depth and turning that down a little bit definitely helps. And then I can turn it off. And I'm back to my nice, crunchy, clean tone. Then I can put on some chorus if I want it. I want something kind of Leslie-ish with that analog vibe, so I'm gonna go for the CE, which gets after that Boss CE chorus sound. I think that's gonna work. Now we have reverb available to us the entire time. So when you go away from the reverb being on the control, the reverb's just always on. For this gig, we need spring reverb. So let's do it. And there we go. Now we want a little bit of a slapback echo. Let's go to the 60s mode on the delay. And there you have yourself a perfectly serviceable rig to take with you on the go. Pretty amazing. It doesn't look like it could do something rootsy, country, bluesy, but it can. With a guitar with EMGs, no less. EMGs? EMGs. I can't talk today. Anyway, now we're going to move on to another use, one of my favorites, and that's running the drives into the front end of the amplifier and all the time-based and modulation stuff into the effects loop. So let's switch over to the Rockerverb and have ourselves a little bit of fun. This setup I truly love because most effects pedals that are like the multi-effect don't often think about people who like to run their modulations and their time-based stuff, their echoes and their delays in the effects loop. To me, I come from that school of thought of the recording console, the aux send, something that allows you to maintain the integrity of your original tone, but blend in the time-based effect as you see fit. And the fact that I have the inputs and outputs on the Cerberus to be able to do that is really awesome. Even though I'm not using the amp's gain right now, even with the pedals, I still feel like I have a little bit more control. Boost it with some of that drive. Now I can turn on the delay, which I have the 80s delay, so it's got a little bit more clarity to it, and it really holds on. Very nice. And then if I really want to take it over the top, I'll add in that stereo chorus. It's like The Cure if it played with high gain. And then I have the volume pedal on the floor so I can do some swells. Hold it. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the flow of the whole demo video here, but I wanted to make mention of a cool product that NUX sent alongside the Cerberus, and that is this, the B3 wireless system. Essentially what this is it's a digital wireless system that allows you to hook up any microphone and make it wireless, all digitally. It's very intuitive, very easy to use, and actually sounds pretty darn good. Here's a couple samples of an SM57 made wireless digitally with the B3 with some guitar parts. In addition to sounding great, the B3 system is very easy to set up. Each part of the system, the transmitter and the receiver, both have 6 channels for you to select and pair up, and all you need to do is press the button on each of the transmitter and the receiver, and once they match and they pair automatically, you're done. Their rechargeable lithium-ion battery lasts hours and even include a dual USB cable for you to plug into any USB port and charge the internal batteries. And as a bonus, if you're like me and you're out in the field creating content, they even include a hot shoe mount and an XLR to 1/8 inch TRS cable converter for you to plug any microphone wirelessly into your camera to get great sounding audio and not have to use the camera microphone. So that's a little rundown of the NUX B3 wireless system. I really dig it and I'm gonna be using it a lot in the near future. And now back to the show. Now, first and foremost, as a guitar player, I'm a songwriter. I play in a band, and the music that influenced me as a guitar player were bands that had guitar players and singers in them. So I need some really quick, easy to use tools that can get the song ideas that I have in here to these things played on here and into Pro Tools or whatever recording device I'm using at the time quickly, because it can be lost in a split second. Well, thanks to Cerberus and the fact that you can load in some IRs, you can very easily use Cerberus as one of those devices. Half the feeling of playing and songwriting is crafting the tones. And once you find the sound that just really makes it all gel together, it makes songwriting that much easier. And so what I like to do with this particular usage for it is use the preset mode. So if you want to use the preset mode, you're going to need to press and hold on the tap foot switch. Underneath it says hold for preset. And once it's in preset mode, you'll see each preset on the LED screen. Cycling through, bing, bang, boom. Now I've dialed in a few things already, and you've heard that at the top of the video, but that was through the orange pedal baby. Now let's hear those same presets going direct. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the cab sim just because, well, I can. And you'll be able to hear the difference a little bit. You'll probably hear it better with distortion. Nothing special. Put on the cab sim. Not bad. Big thanks to Riley IO Acura for spending the time to send me a bunch of IRs to try out. Now, I have a nice clean patch that has some chorus, some delay, and some reverb on it, which just works really nicely for those arpeggiated doohickeys. I have a heavy distortion with some reverb on it. And then for something really over the top for solos, here it is. Very nice indeed. So how do you save a preset? Well, let's edit one and I'll show you exactly how. Let's go for a new preset on 1D. Now the LED is lit, press the foot switch again, and we're in edit mode. You see ED, which does not stand for what you think it stands for. Get your minds out of the gutter, people, on the LED screen. Now we can sort of turn on and off anything that we see fit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to create something really swirly and twirly, really ambient, but with some really extreme modulation effects. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave the reverb switch on, and I'm gonna first dial in something a little bit crunchy, but still fairly clean, more like a pushed clean kind of tone. Cool. Now for some reverb. The hall works really well for this kind of stuff, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and run the reverb into the delay for just something a little bit different. Turn on the delay. I think I'm gonna go to the 60s, which is a tape delay, but I think that that's gonna provide us with a really nice character. Now for some modulation, let's go to phase. No, let's try the univibe. Make it really slow and deep. Now we're gonna add in some chorus on the SC mode. so far so good. I like it, so now I want to save it. I'm gonna go ahead and just back down the drive just a little bit right there. So how do you do it? Well, you press the save button right here. Press it once, it's gonna ask you what preset you want to save it, what preset slot you wanna save it to. I just want it on 1D, so we're gonna press save again. And once it's done flashing, we're back to that sound. So we can go to that over-the-top lead thing. And then switch to the really ambient thing. And we can do some swells or stuff. And there you have it, my friends. That is the Cerberus by NUX. I love this trend of high quality FlyRig multi-effect units. You know, going from everything as far as the Helixes and the FX8s and things like that that are on the really, really high end to things that are a little bit more affordable, say in the Sonicake range. To me, the Cerberus occupies just a little bit step in quality above that. Each of the drive sounds is very nice and very usable, and all the modulation and delay and reverb effects sound really, really nice. With all the uses that I've shown you, that's how I use it, but there are so many things that we didn't even really touch on. I didn't even show you guys how much boost you can get, and the MIDI I/O on this means that you could conceivably hook it up to a MIDI controller, either run by Pro Tools or Ableton Live, or if you have an amplifier that has MIDI functionality, you could do more than just what I showed you. But I have to show you the way I use things because I'm me, and that's all I can do. But anyway, I certainly am having a lot of fun with it, and you will be hearing it more in the coming weeks, especially on some live shows. And for the time being, I would love to know what you thought of the Cerberus. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and be sure you come back for next week's episode of Stompbox Saturday. To click the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and consider becoming a supporter on Patreon. Thank you all so much for joining me this week, and until next time, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, and I wish you all out there great tone and happy stomping. Cheers, everybody.